Yeah, I had like 60-year-olds in some of my physics classes.
You're a lot.
They would like retire and be like, I'm just taking this for fun. All right. What is it? Monday, January 30th, Rational Root Theorem notes and Algebra II academic. Okay. So you guys need your graphing calculators. Okay, well, you calculate 84 on your iPad then. Okay? Or just watch this video later. Okay? So you're going to need your calculators. So we talked about, right, so we want to find the zeros of polynomials, okay? So if it's a quadratic, right, quadratic means the degree is what? What degree polynomial is a quadratic equation? 2. Yeah, so if it can be factored, so if it's quadratic, right, we can use the quadratic formula, or we can factor, so quad formula. We can also complete the square. We can also factor. There are some, right, there are some polynomials that can be factored that aren't quadratic. So some polynomials of greater degree can be factored. Right, so those are the 3 methods we've learned so far for finding the roots of a polynomial, for setting the polynomial equal to 0 and solving for x, okay? Those are 3 methods we've learned, okay? Unfortunately, right, some polynomials are going to have a degree greater than 2, so we can't use the quadratic formula or completing the square, and some can't be factored, right? If you tried to factor this by grouping, you wouldn't be able to. You would fail. Okay, so we need a 4th method to learn how to do this, okay? 4th method, okay? So can't be factored. Can't use quad formula or complete the square. Okay? We need a new method. All right? This method is called the possible rational roots theorem. Possible rational roots. Okay? So here's what we're going to do. So I'm going to do this just like I did when I factored. I'm going to highlight that constant term in blue, and I'm going to highlight that the leading term that has a coefficient of 1 here. I'm going to highlight that in orange, okay? I'm going to highlight that in orange, okay? What did we do when I highlighted these? We listed what? The factors, right? So the factors of that lead coefficient are 1 times 1, okay? Factors of 16 are what? 1 times 16, 2 times 8, 4 times 4, okay? So, I think the best way to say this. What the possible rational roots theorem is going to say what that says, okay, is any rational root of f of x here, this polynomial, will be of the form, okay, an orange number, wait, no, it's a blue number, sorry. Blue number over an orange number, sorry. A blue number over one of the orange numbers, an orange number. Okay? All right, so the way I write down my possible rational roots, okay, I'm going to write x equals, so right here, the possible rational roots. So for number 1, possible rational roots, okay, that's going to be, so I'm just going to write down a plus or minus and I'm going to list all those blue numbers, okay? So it's going to be plus or minus 1, 2, 4, 8, or 16, all over plus or minus 1, okay? Okay. So then plus or minus 1 divided by 1 is just plus or minus 1, okay? Plus or minus 2 divided by 1 is plus or minus 2. Plus or minus 4 divided by 1 is plus or minus 4. Plus or minus 8 divided by 1 is plus or minus 8. And plus or minus 16 divided by 1 is plus or minus 16, okay? So I have 10 numbers here, okay? Positive 1, positive 2, positive 4, positive 8, positive 16, negative 1, negative 2, negative 4, negative 8, negative 16, okay? So this theorem says, my pink theorem says, if I set this f of x equal to 0 and solve for x, any solution for x which is rational is going to be one of these 10 numbers, okay? It's going to be one of those 10 numbers, okay? In pre-cal, what we did now is we just like guessed and checked like all 10 of those and saw which one worked when we plugged it in, which one gave me 0 when I plugged it in. We're going to use our graphing calculator to do that in here. Thanks, Mrs. Hollis and Mrs. Ludington. Okay. But yeah, that's possible rational roots. Okay. One thing I want to say is, what degree is this polynomial?
3.
So I should expect how many solutions to this equation?
3.
3. Yep. So this theorem does not guarantee that like your solutions will be rational, but if they are, it'll be one of these numbers. Okay. Let's talk about this. What's a rational number again? What's a rational number? That's why I want to review it. So a rational number, I guess I'll write it down. Since we forget, I'll write it up here. Rational number. A rational number is a number with no square roots or i's. Okay. So this theorem, this pink theorem, doesn't give me all the possible solutions. It just gives me the possible rational solutions, okay? You could have like one rational solution and then like 2 complex solutions or 2 like square root solutions, okay? All right. So yeah, so So let's see which one on this list is a solution. We're gonna do it with our calculators, okay? We're gonna do it with our calculators. So turn your calculator on, okay? Real quick, let's fix our windows on our calculators. Hit zoom, hit that zoom button, and then select Z standard, okay? That'll just give you like a 10 by 10 square window on the origin, centered on the origin, okay? All right, and then I'll video this, okay? If someone could zoom and then select Z standard. So hit zoom and then go down to Z standard, okay? Let's do that first off, okay? So I'm gonna hit Y equals, okay? What I'm gonna do is no, that's not what I want. What I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna plug this function in for y1, okay? So x cubed, oh, sorry. All right, so over here, I'm going back to my calculator, hit the y equals screen, hit the y equals button. I'm going to plug this in. It's going to be x to the third. What is it, plus x squared?
Do we use parentheses?
No, you don't need parentheses. You can if you want. Is it going to be, can someone help me? What's the next term? I'll just get it.
Plus x.
Plus x. So there's a little like button on your calculator. Looks like that. It's just like an up arrow in the top right. When you hit that, it'll make like an X on the bottom. Yes. I'll do it again. Okay. So Elle, are you on this screen?
Yeah, I'm just wondering how I get like
X from the exponent. Hit the down arrow. So I'm going to do x, okay, to the third. To do to the third, I do hit this caret button underneath the clear button, to the third. And then to get out of that, I hit the down arrow, hit the right arrow key. Okay. All right, x to the third, what is it? Plus x squared plus x squared plus 2x minus 16, okay? All right, so your solution then to this equation, your first root is going to be where the graph crosses the horizontal axis here, okay? So that's how you see it. What value is that? 2, right? Let's make sure. Let's confirm with our calculator, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit second calc or second trace, hit the second button, then the trace button, and I want 0. I want the 0 function, so hit enter on 0. For left bound, okay, use the right and left arrow keys to take that little cursor, move it around, okay? You want it somewhere to the left of that intersection there, okay? You want it somewhere to the left of where it intersects the horizontal axis. Hit enter, okay? For right bound, put your cursor somewhere to the right of it. Hit enter, and then when it says guess, hit enter again. It'll tell you, my graph is crossing the x-axis at x equals 2, okay? So that means, so let me write this down. Using calculator, find that x equals 2 is a root, is a solution. So that's your first step here, okay? I guess technically our second step, because we had to first list the possible rational roots. So second step, okay. So our first step was list possible PRRs, possible rational roots, okay? Are we having trouble with our calculators?
Yeah. When I try to check it,
It'll like usually like that out. Window, the guy's at a -10. It's at -14. Right?
what do I do after that again?
What?
What do I do after that?
Put it on right. Second trace. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, so use it right and left. And the cursor's not appearing because it's not in your window, right? Okay. Yeah, so that's what we do, okay? All right. So once we have, what? It's dead. Charge it and pull up calculate 84 on your iPad. All right. So then what we're going to do, the third step, is, so I'm going to take this, I'm going to highlight this in orange, okay? That's going to be one of my answers. The third step is divide your f of x by the solution we found with our calculator. Okay? So we're going to do x cubed plus x squared plus 2x minus 16 divided by, and then we're going to do synthetic division and plug this number into the crow's nest. So plug into crow's nest. Okay. Got one more minute. Bear with me. Okay. So we're going to do the coefficients of my polynomial are 1, 1, 2, and negative 16. The number that goes in my crow's nest is this guy right here. 2. Draw a line. Okay. Do your synthetic division. Okay. And then at this point we have x squared plus 3x plus 8, and then we can use whatever method we want. Factoring, quadratic, or Quadratic formula, complete the square to find the other solutions. Come back at 12:30. I'll go through that again, but slower.
So it's whatever the number of terms you have to is the number of
Number of terms, you minus 1, and that's your highest degree exponent. So this is constant x squared. No, that's not the. So we would then use the quadratic formula to solve. It still equals 0. Then we would solve that. Those would be our other two solutions. Yeah. John goes.
Have you heard back from MIT yet?
No, I don't know when I'm going to hear back. I'd be happy to wait for us. It's a master's program.
Then go.
Fully funded. I haven't gotten an offer.
I thought you just said you had an interview.
Yeah, he got offered.
Doesn't that mean that in the next 2 days you're gonna get an offer?
He did say they're very impressed with me.
So you're gonna get an offer?
I hope so. You never know with school admissions. When the darkness closes.
You're gonna get that song stuck in my head. You know what the easiest way to get a song stuck out of your head is?
Listen to it.
Get another song stuck in.
Just replace it.
Because then you forget about the first one.
I always found listening to it really
Yeah,
helpful.
same. I actually
Yeah, you just listen to it.
Like, if you listen to it after like 8 or 10 times, you're just like, I want to do this.
Yo.
If you listen to a song enough, you're just like, I want to be done. Then you suddenly like hate the song.
When the darkness closes in, still I will sing, just be alone. Can you put your hand on? Thank you. I think I'm doing summer school again next summer. Fun. You guys do summer PE or anything? Yeah. Do you guys do you like trivia all the time too? Yeah. We did like an hour of trivia every day in summer PE. I took health. Is that boring? That sounds so boring. That sounds awful.
Who like the rest of this?
Eat the rest of it? Yeah.
I waited until the very end of this line for long. I had a lunch before, but I wanted this.
Wait, who is it? Stop. I want one. I actually want one. Yes. Do you have one to give? How big? Yeah.
We're going to do a slow line.
All right, phones away. Yeah, AirPods out, lanyards on, please. We're starting. Okay? So we used our calculators right before lunch, right? To find that x equals 2 was a root or a solution. Okay? Are you guys confused by what a root is, what I mean by root? I feel like I haven't explained that. So when you take a polynomial and set it equal to 0 and solve, those solutions are called your roots. Okay? So that's specifically when the polynomial equals 0. Okay? All right. So once we find that x equals 2 is a solution, what that means is we can divide. So we can divide f of x by x minus 2 without a remainder. Okay. So basically, x minus 2 is a factor of f of x, okay? It's going to be a factor of f of x, okay? Now to find, so what we're going to do is we're going to divide f of x by x minus 2 using synthetic division, okay? Synthetic division. So I start right, I write out the coefficients of my polynomial, so 1, 1, 2, and negative 16. Okay, what do I put in the crow's nest if I'm dividing by x minus 2? Just positive 2, right? Another way to remember it is you just put in the solution that you've just found, okay? All right, and then you do your synthetic division algorithm, okay? So remainder box, pull down your 1. No, it's not. It's the opposite of this number that you're dividing by. So x minus 2.
Where'd you get x minus?
So we found that x equals positive 2 as a solution with our calculator. That means we can divide f of x, that polynomial, by x minus 2. Okay? So we're going to do divide by x minus 2, or you can just tell yourself, I'm going to do synthetic division and plug in whatever the solution is into the crow's nest. Okay? Either way of thinking about it works. Okay? Pulling in that 1, okay, 2 times 1 is 2. 1 plus 2 is 3. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 plus 6 is 8. 2 times 8 is positive 16. Negative 16 plus positive 16 is 0, okay? So what polynomial is this? If I got 1, 3, 8 on my bottom line, what does that correspond to? So this is my constant term, right? I'm just going to write a C there for constant. This is my x term, and this is my x squared term. So my result I got was x squared plus 3x plus 8, okay? Okay, so once you've done that, okay, the fourth step is going to be once you have a quadratic, which we do here. Finish solving by try factoring first. Or the quadratic formula. Or complete the square. Okay. So we have this quadratic that we got back, okay? At this point, right, we've learned other methods we can use other than just guessing the roots, right? Other than just using our calculator. We can use quadratic formula for that. We can, I don't think we can factor, actually. Yeah, we can. Or we could use complete the square, okay? So I'm going to do, you guys want me to complete the square or do quadratic formula? Okay, I'll do quadratic formula. So x is going to be equal to the opposite of b plus or minus b squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2 times a. 9 minus, what is that, 32? What is that, negative 23? There you go. So my roots here, the x equals 2 are going to be the x equals 2 that we found with my calculator, and then I'll just copy this up here. Okay, so those are the 3 answers. Those are my 3 answers to this original equation. Okay, do you guys need me to zoom out on this? Okay. All right. It's not too bad, and the more we do it, the better you'll get at it. My pre-cal kids caught on pretty fast. My pre-cal students. What's that? I just left it at plus or minus. I wanted you guys to really hammer home that this is 2 different numbers. Okay, so one solution here is x equals negative 3 halves plus I root 23 over 2. X equals negative 3 halves minus I root 23 over 2. If you left it like this on a quiz or test, I wouldn't care. But if you did get something like x equals like 1 plus or minus 5, I would want you to separate those 2. Okay? So it's not a bad idea to get in the habit of separating them. Okay. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next one. Okay. So first we got to write out our possible rational roots. How do I do that again? So I'm going to look at the coefficient of that first term. Okay, that's 1 here, right? And then I'm going to look at that last term, the constant term. That's 9. Okay, what am I going to do with those? You guys know this. I'm going to write out the factors. Okay. 1 is just 1 times 1. Okay. All right. What's the form of my possible rational roots again? What are those going to look like? It's going to be a blue number over an orange number. So I'm going to take all the blue numbers, okay, and make sure you write a plus or minus. Write out all the blue numbers, so plus or minus 1, 3, and 9. And over the orange numbers, so just 1, okay? All right, and then divide these out, okay? So 1 divided by 1 is plus or minus 1. 3 divided by plus or minus 3 divided by plus or minus 1 is plus or minus 3. Plus or minus 9 divided by plus or minus 1 is plus or minus 9, okay? All right, so that's going to be part of my solutions, all right? So on the test and the homework, you have to list those out first, okay? All right, in pre-cal next year, you won't get a calculator. You'll just have to plug all 6 of these into the polynomial and see if they give you 0. You'll have to do guess and check. We're going to use our calculator, okay? So I'm going to do another example on my calculator, okay? So I'm going to get my calculator out. All right, here's my calculator. So I'm going to go back to that y equals screen. I'm going to put in x cubed, so x to the third, hit the right arrow, minus 7x squared plus 9x plus 9. I'm going to go to the graph, okay? All right, cool. So we've got three solutions here, right? 3 zeros, okay? When you have multiple, you want the one that's a whole number. Which one of these 3 solutions is going to be a whole number? Which one crosses the x-axis on one of the tick marks? 3, right? So let's confirm. Okay, second calc, 0. Okay, use the right arrow key. I'm going to move that cursor just to the left of that intersection, hit enter. Move it just to the right, hit enter. And then when it says guess, hit it one more time, okay? X equals 3, okay? So use calculator, use calc to find x equals 3 as a solution, okay? What do I do with that x equals 3? What do I do? What did we do in the last problem when I found that first solution? Yeah, we divided, right? We use it to divide that polynomial, okay? So let's list out the coefficients of my polynomial. It's going to be 1, -7, 9, and 9, okay? What number do I put in my crow's nest? Yeah, that 3 right there. Okay. Okay, so move this down 1. And so use my synthetic division. All right. So here's my answer right here. What polynomial is this? What equation do these 3 coefficients correspond to? So here's my constant term, here's my x term, and here's my x squared. So it's going to be x squared minus 4x minus 3 equals 0, okay? And then I can solve this however I want to, okay? So the only thing we've introduced today is listing out the possible rational roots, finding one of those roots, whichever one is the actual rational root with your calculator, dividing the polynomial by that root, and then solving the quadratic we get, okay? Yes?
How do you know to subtract 3 to 7? Like, how do you get 3 from that?
How did I get 3?
From that -12 to -9.
Yeah, so I started with dropping down the 1, right? I multiply the crow's nest by that 1, so 3 times 1 is 3, right? I add down the columns, so -7 plus 3 is -4. 3 times -4 is -12. 9 plus -12 is -3. 3 times -3 is -9. Add, you get 0 for the remainder. Does that make sense? Yeah, yes. On your calculator? Yeah. let me solve this first. All right, so how do you guys want to solve this one? Can it be factored? I don't think so. All right, so you guys want to use the quadratic formula? Or do you want to complete the square? I'll complete the square on this one, okay? So my lead coefficient here is 1. I'm interested in what number here? At -4, right? So I'm going to add what to both sides here? 4, yeah? Okay, these three rewrite as x minus 2 quantity squared. Solve with the square root property. So those are my solutions, okay? On the test, I want to see these two solutions, and I want to see your possible rational roots, okay? Those are going to be the 3 elements of the correct answer on the test. And then, you know, honestly, just leave it till you see this. Okay, these 2 points tell me what the cursor is. Okay, so I'm going to go up here. Down, so just leave it. It doesn't go around. Yeah, okay. So you need to zoom stand. Yep. All right, guys. Can I move on to the next one then? Move on to the next one. Okay, number 3. Are you guys okay if I delete this from the other problem? Number 3. Okay. 2x cubed minus 16x squared plus 27x plus 15. Again, I'll do a lot of this one too. So I'm interested in that constant term, that last number. I'm interested in that first number, okay? Factors of the first number are 2 and 1. Factors of that blue number are 1 times 15 and 3 times 5, okay? So my possible rational roots, I'm going to do the blue. I just list out the blue numbers over the orange numbers. Okay, and then I divide, okay? I'm going to divide. Okay? So 1 divided by 1 gives me plus or minus 1. Plus or minus 3 divided by plus or minus 1 gives me plus or minus 3. Okay? Plus or minus 5 divided by plus or minus 1 gives me plus or minus 5. Plus or minus 15 divided by plus or minus 1 gives me plus or minus 15, okay? And then I've got to divide everything by that 2 as well. So I'm also going to have plus or minus 1 divided by plus or minus 2 gives me plus or minus 1/2. Plus or minus 3 over plus or minus 2 gives me plus or minus 3/2. Plus or minus 5 over plus or minus 2 gives me plus or minus 5/2. And then I have plus or minus 15 over plus or minus 15 over plus or minus 2 gives me plus or minus 15/2. Okay? So those are my 16 different possible rational solutions to this polynomial, okay? All right? So I'm going to go to my calculator. So this is going to be part of my answer that Mr. Rushko wants to see, okay? So then I'm going to go to my calculator. All right, in pre-cal you have to guess all 16 of those. In Algebra 2 you don't, okay? So I'm going to go to y equals, go to the y equals screen. Okay, I want 2x cubed minus 16x squared plus 27x plus 15. Okay, graph. All right. And we want to go for which of these solutions? The left one, the middle, or the right? The right, yeah, the one that passes through that hash mark there, okay? So let's get my calculator to tell me which one that is. Second trace, 0. Okay, go to the right. Okay, if your cursor's not popping up on the screen at first, that's because it's outside of your window. So my cursor, these are the coordinates of where your cursor currently is. Mine's at 19, so it's like above the screen. So I need to go to the right still. Need to keep going to the right. It'll pop up. Hit enter to the left. Move it to the right. Hit enter. Hit enter one more time. That 0 is 3.4364,917.
Wouldn't it be 5?
What's that?
Wouldn't it be the rightmost?
Oh yeah, that's right. Sorry. Thank you. I made a mistake. I was like, uh-oh, what do I do? It's like, that wasn't what it was supposed to give me. Sorry. Made a mistake. It's actually the one on the right. I was just trying to test you guys. Good job, Mason. All right, so I got x equals 5. So x equals 5 is a solution with my calculator. So that's going to be part of my answer that Mr. Rushka wants to see, so I'm going to highlight it. Okay. What do I do with that x equals 5? Put it in the crow's nest. Yep. So I'm going to write out my coefficients and put it in the crow's nest. Okay. Do your synthetic division. Okay. Okay, can someone tell me? So here's my constant term, here's my x term, here's my x squared term. So what's my answer to this division problem? Yeah, 2x squared minus 6x minus 3. I just want to make sure you guys understood that.
With the calculator, will you want to strike round up or round down?
You won't have to round because I only want you to find the rational roots with your calculator.
Okay.
Yep. So the roots you find with your calculator, they're going to be whole numbers or fractions. Okay. All right. I want the irrational roots to be written in exact form. Okay. So you guys want me to? I'll use the quadratic formula to solve this. Okay. So x equals opposite of b plus or minus b squared. Notice my -6 is inside parentheses. You're going to get it wrong if you don't do that. Okay. This message was brought to you by the Cathedral Board of Trustees. All right. So plug it all into the quadratic formula. No, I'm not on the board. I used to be a voting member, though. I used to be able to vote for the board.
When?
When I first graduated from high school.
You said a voting member. I was like,
Yeah, I went voting with Joey's dad. No, I never did that, actually. That'd be awesome, though. If he ever wants to. What's that?
Do you ever, is that something that's given to every single cathedral student?
No, if you, I would donate 10% of my paychecks, and sometimes I'd donate to Cathedral. If you donate at least $500 a year to Cathedral, your first 5 years out, they put you on a voting member for the board. So.
why would you do
why would you do
paychecks to
that?
cathedral?
Because you have to. One of the precepts of the church is to provide for the needs of the church. So you're supposed to donate 10%.
Yeah.
So I would donate to Catholic institutions. I mostly donate to nuns now. Okay, 36 plus 24. Is that 60? Root 60? Okay. Root 60 simplifies to what? Anyone know? It's 2 root 15. Over 2. So you're going to have x equals 3 plus or minus root 15. Okay. So my answers are these two solutions right here. This solution I found with my calculator, my possible rational roots, okay? Let's move to the end of the notes and do one of the hard ones. Ooh, here's one that's to the 4th. Scary. I'm so scared.
That doesn't change much, right?
We'll just have to do, you have to do this, you have to do all this once and then do all of it again. Okay?
Really?
Yeah. Are you feeling okay? No? Please put the phone away. Thank you, Ben. All right, 5. Let's go on to 5. Oh, 4th degree. The real deal. Same deal, okay? I'm interested in that first number. I'm still interested in that first number. and that last number, okay? The factors of 1 are just 1. The factors of 32, 1 times 32, 2 times 16, 4 times 8. Is that it? Yeah, I think so. Am I being dumb? No, I'm not. All right, so my possible rational roots going to be the blues over the oranges. All right, mnemonic device. Anyone have a good mnemonic device?
For blue over orange?
Yeah. Okay, dividing all those out, we get plus or minus 1, plus or minus 2, plus or minus 4, plus or minus 8, plus or minus 16, and plus or minus 32, okay? Pre-cal will have to guess all 12 of those by just plugging and chugging and guessing and checking. In Algebra 2, we're just going to put it in our calculator. Okay, so clear that. We're going to do, put this polynomial in your calculator, this polynomial, okay? X to the 4th minus x cubed plus 14x squared minus 16x minus 32, okay? Hit graph. All right, that's my graph. Which one do I want? Actually, take either of them. Okay, I think they're both whole numbers.
That's -1 and 2.
What do you guys want to do first? Let's do 2, okay? So second, calc 0. Okay. Oh gosh. No. No. Sorry.
The computer has revolted.
All right, so x equals 2 is one of my solutions.
How do you do that after zero?
What?
How do you take it after you hit 0?
Yeah.
I got -1.
I'm going to do it again.
Yeah, you do it.
All right, so one of my solutions is x equals 2. What do I do with that? What do? I divide that polynomial. So coefficients 1, -1, 14, -16, -32. Divide it all by that. Put the 2 in the crow's nest. Okay. Okay, what's my answer? So here's constant x, x squared, x cubed. Answer is x cubed plus x squared plus 16x plus 16. Okay? So always try to solve it by factoring first, and then if you can't factor it, you'll have to use the possible rational root theorem again, okay? So can this be factored, though, by grouping?
No, right, because of the X to the 3rd.
Yeah, I can. Okay. So I factored it by grouping. Congratulations to me. What do I do once I've factored it all the way? Set each factor equal to 0 and solve, okay? So those are my solutions. Okay. Right. So sometimes, right, so on the test, see if you can factor it by factoring first, or see if you can solve it by factoring. If you can't, possible rational roots. Yes, Ella. Yeah. And then Ben, I'll come by to help you. Sorry, I thought we were going to use it again. Yeah, so second, calc, yeah, 0. And then left right arrow. Just hold one so it pops up. Hold either left or right. There you go. Right to the right. Sometimes it's right, so the homework from that packet for tomorrow, this is enough. You guys know enough now to do it, so.
But if you do negative